Hey guys, raysfire here, back at it again with another video in the Path to Pro series. In the intro video to this series, I touched very briefly on building and emphasized the importance of it, but in today's video, we're really going to get our hands wet and get a good taste of what structured building actually looks like. At the end of this video, you should have a decent grasp on the building mechanics, as well as enough knowledge that, with some practice, you should be able to start winning build fights more consistently and confidently. As always, we'll have timestamps on here somewhere, probably in the description, so that you can easily access what exactly you're looking for and jump right to it. To begin, it's important to understand turbo building. Turbo building is a feature that was added to Fortnite in one of its earlier patches, in which the game will constantly try to build a piece for you as long as you keep the build button pressed down on whatever building piece you currently have out. With turbo building enabled, the first piece will place for you after 0.15 seconds, with each respective piece placing after 0.05 seconds, or 3 times as fast. However, it is important to note that Epic has changed the first piece placement timing a bit in the past, so there's a chance that these times might not be 100% with what's currently in the game upon watching this video, but the important thing to note is that you essentially do not have to constantly click to build. Turbo building is highly recommended for all players and is enabled by default, so you shouldn't have much to worry about unless you've tinkered with the settings prior. Without turbo building, harder build sequences are made much more difficult, and also make it much harder for you to protect yourself when being pressured by an enemy. Let's take a look at the single ramp rush. When you first pick up Fortnite and start messing around with building, you'll probably default to the single ramp rush. You might have seen videos or streams of players in which there's a bunch of extra building underneath the ramp or on the sides of the ramp, and you might be wondering, why are they doing that? Well, the reasoning here is stability. While it overall saves materials to use, a single wide ramp rush offers very little protection from getting shot down or getting shot through. It takes a mere 5 shots from an AR to break a single ramp rush from any range. Introducing the double ramp rush. This is a very simple upgrade of the single layered ramp rush, and while it's not something I'd recommend for use in an actual game in many scenarios, I think it's an important building block to learn. The double ramp rush is still very vulnerable and suffers a lot of the same issues as the single ramp rush, but due to how the ramp pieces interact with one another, a double ramp rush will require twice the amount of shots to break in most cases, as you have to break both the left and right sides for it to fall down completely. To do this ramp rush, all you have to do is simply move your crosshair left and right while holding down your build bind. This allows for you to do a 2-wide ramp up while still maintaining max running speed. Now we're getting into the good stuff. The wall ramp rush. This ramp rush is fundamental in your understanding of initiating a build fight in Fortnite, and you should make this a priority to learn if you haven't done so already. This is the first of the ramp rushes that teaches the idea of double layering builds in order to be more structurally sound and helps your buildings from being shot down as easily. This allows you more time to focus on taking high ground over your opponents and spend less time worrying about your buildings being shot down. As you can see here from this angle, it takes your opponents twice as long to shoot out a single section of your ramp. However, it is important to note that with this ramp rush, it's still particularly weak on the bottom. Breaking the ramps underneath completely disregards the walls in front and will still cause the whole thing to crumble down in just a single ramp breakage. To do this ramp rush, focus on timing. While holding down your build button, switch to your walls shortly after placing a ramp. This will automatically cause the wall to build in front of the ramp rather than above it unless your mouse is angled too high, allowing you to continue running at full speed while getting twice the reinforcement on the front of your ramp. For some people, slowly moving the mouse up and down while switching between the ramp and wall piece will make this easier. Feel free to experiment and find which way works best for you. Common issues with this ramp rush include the wall building above the ramp and blocking you from moving forward. This usually means that you're either too high up on the ramp when switching to your walls, or your crosshair is angled too high when running up the ramp. An important thing to note is that this can also be paired with the double ramp rush for an added layer of stability. To do this, slowly move your mouse from side to side as you build. One direction for ramps and then the other direction back for walls. However, this method offers the same level of protection as the wall floor ramp rush that we are about to cover and uses more materials, so it's generally not recommended. Speaking of the wall floor ramp rush, this is one of the essential building techniques to the Fortnite meta today. Being able to successfully perform the wall floor ramp rush at max run speed will put you on the same level as some of the best players in the game. Almost every single experienced player active in the game today uses this technique many times in every single session of Fortnite that they play. This technique offers you at least 2 layers of protection from any angle and can also be used as a base to branch off into other building techniques as a build battle develops. This method also remains relatively efficient in mat usage, unlike our friend the double wall ramp rush mentioned previously. Because of this, it is by far the most popular ramp rushing method. This method can be performed in the same way as the wall ramp rush. However, the timing window is a bit tighter as the player must swap between 3 different build pieces while keeping the build button held down rather than just 2. The standard order most players do this ramp rush in is ramp, wall, floor. However, there are other approaches to this as well. If you're struggling to learn this method, it's highly encouraged you slowly move your mouse up and down while running up the ramp to give yourself more leniency on the timing window. Common issues with this type of ramp rush are building an extra wall above your ramp or building an extra floor over your head. If either of these are happening, it's usually a sign that you either haven't switched off of either building piece and back to ramps in time, so the game is trying to build the piece in the next available place as you move up the ramp, or your camera is angled up too high, so the game thinks you want to build above your ramp rather than underneath it. This is why it's highly encouraged that you slowly pull the angle down as you run up the ramp while learning, and only pull the camera back up once both pieces are properly built. Doing this will prevent your angle from being too high and the pieces placing in the wrong location. Finally, we've come to the ultimate ramp rush. The ramp rush to beat them all. The double wall floor ramp rush. Okay, no, seriously, hold up. Do not learn this, especially if you're new to the game. Like, this is not worth the mats it uses at all. It is unnecessarily hard. In fact, even some of the most experienced players might not even know how to do this consistently. And really, it's only good for mad flexing on buds at school. But hey, if you're looking for a challenge, feel free to give it a shot. Not gonna tell you how to do it though. I'm sure there's videos out there. But yeah, moving on. moving on. Next, we handle structured turning. Turning allows you to very quickly change direction directly off of a ramp rush while still gaining height. This is incredibly useful when your opponent is off to one direction, or if they build out to your side and you very quickly need to turn around to face them head on. This comes in handy a lot during build fights, and it partially explains why the fossils of build fights you see around the map are so high in the air. It emphasizes the importance of maintaining high ground and keeping vision on your opponents at all times. To perform a structured turn off of a ramp rush, start by placing a floor off of the top of your newly made ramp, jumping into the air above your newly placed floor, turning into the direction you would like to angle towards, and then placing a wall in front of you and a ramp underneath you as you land. This might seem complicated, but with a bit of practice you'll get it in no time and be able to do it at full speed. A common issue that arises when performing a turn is getting stuck under the ramp. This is caused by one of 3 things: jumping too late, being too close to the front wall when placing the ramp, or waiting too long after your player model begins to drop to place the ramp. To fix all these issues, simply focus on developing a rhythm with your building and jumping, and make sure that your player model isn't bumping up against the front wall when turning. Now that you know how to quickly turn 90 degrees in a direction while build fighting for high ground, the next logical step is to cover the full 180. 180s in Fortnite can be done in a handful of ways, so in this video we'll cover the most commonly seen. To start, let's look at the basic or introductory 180. This is a very basic building technique that can be very quickly learned, but is slower and offers a bit less cover than the second technique. For this reason, it's meant to be a stepping stone in learning, although it does have its uses from time to time, so it is still worth learning how to do. To perform this basic 180, simply turn around at the top of your ramp when you want to head back in the opposite direction, switch to your wall piece, place a wall 1 piece down on your already existing ramp, another wall on top of that, and then back to ramps and connect the 2. However, as fast as that may seem, there is a quicker, more reliable method. Simply place a wall in front of you when you're ready to turn, and while holding down the turbo build button, quickly turn 180 degrees to face the other direction. From there, jump and then place a floor followed by a ramp. This method is a bit trickier to master, but because it offers added protection and allows for you to retain momentum from sprinting, it is highly recommended. This also sets the stage to learn how to do 90s, a popular method used in many situations within Fortnite. Now that we've covered 180s, we'll actually be using the same technique to learn how to very quickly build a tower to the sky, often referred to as a 1x1. This is useful when you're in a good position on the map and are looking to both protect yourself from enemies landing above you, as well as looking for potential targets to shoot at. To do this, simply perform the exact same method used in the fast 180 method shown previously. However, rather than just moving your mouse 180 degrees to place 3 walls, move it a bit further so you can incorporate that 4th wall as well. Once you've done this, simply jump, place a floor and then a ramp, and then repeat the process. Now that you can fight for high ground and you have the basic blocks needed to win build fights, how do you celebrate a hard-fought victory? By getting down, of course. You don't want to have that giant mess of a structure shot out by a third party with you on it, do you? Well, the fastest and most efficient way to do this is called waterfalling, and should be a walk in the park if you've mastered all the other techniques in this video. To do this, simply drop off of a structure with your front facing the building you want to get down from. Pull out your walls, and turbo build so they place one after another, then catch yourself with either a floor or a ramp after falling 2 to 3 grid spaces down. From there, simply repeat the process until you're at a safe height to jump to the floor. An important thing to note is that ramps are recommended for this method, as they give you more time to catch yourself due to their slanted nature, and also will help you get down just a bit faster. The fundamentals of most building techniques like these simply require understanding of when to place each piece. So if you're not seeing success, try tweaking small things, such as your timing when placing pieces, your angle when building, and your positioning within the building grid, and don't give up. It takes time, but with enough repetition and experience, you will get better. Next episode, we're going to be covering edits. Edits are going to be essential in all building techniques moving forward, so I want to give you guys a full guide of all the edits you can perform in Fortnite, explain some of the intricacies of the edit system, and give you guys a few drills to practice before we jump into some of the heavier building stuff. Until next time, guys, best of luck on the journey, and I will see you very soon. Peace.
Help me to break through.